The rise in cases in Bolton is partly due to socialising by people in their 20s and 30s. We know this from contact tracing. And through our contact tracing system, we've identified a number of pubs at which the virus has spread significantly. We're therefore taking the following action in Bolton, starting immediately. We will restrict all hospitality to takeaways only, and we'll introduce a late-night restriction of operating hours, which will mean all venues will be required to close from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. We'll introduce urgently further measures that put the current guidance that people cannot socialise outside their household into law. I want us to learn the lesson from Spain and America and France, not have to learn the lesson all over again ourselves through more hospitalisations and more deaths, and take this action locally in Bolton. But crucially, we all have a part to play.
Welcome back to COVID-19 updates. As you've just seen from that previous video from Matt Hancock, the restrictions in Bolton have now been increased due to a rise in cases. There are now, people in Bolton are now only allowed takeaways, and they are stopping nightlife after a rise in cases, and it is actually the law now. All hospitality venues will be limited to takeaway and must be closed to customers between 10 BST and 5 AM each day. Health Secretary Matt Hancock said the town in Greater Manchester had the highest case rate in the country. A further 2,460 new cases were reported across the UK on Tuesday. Overall, there have been 8,396 new cases reported since Sunday. A further 32 deaths within 28 days of a positive test across all settings were recorded on Tuesday, with the average number of daily deaths over the past week around 11. Ministers and government advisors expressed concern over a sharp rise in cases, and a heartfelt apology was issued following shortages in England's testing system. Matt Hancock told the House of Commons on Tuesday, "Unfortunately, after improving for several weeks, we have seen a significant rise in cases in Bolton. The rise in cases in Bolton is partly due to socialising by people in their 20s and 30s. We know this from contact tracing. And through our contact tracing system, we've identified a number of pubs at which the virus has spread significantly." He said there were 120 cases per 100,000 in Bolton, which had already been under stricter lockdown measures. He said there were 120 cases. The new measures which came into force as Matt Hancock addressed the Commons include: all hospitality for food and drink, restaurants, cafes, bars and pubs are now restricted to takeaway only. Late night restriction of operating hours, meaning all venues, including takeaways, will be required to close from 10 o'clock at night to 5 in the morning. It will become illegal for people to socialise with those outside their household in any setting, even outdoors. Schools in Bolton will continue to welcome pupils as usual, Bolton Council said. Council leader David Greenhold said that this is something we want to do. This is not something we want to do, but it is clear the virus is currently moving around the borough uncontrolled, and so we need to halt the transmission rate. Mohammed Memon, who's 37, who owns Kids World clothing shop in Bolton town centre, said that he had real fears about keeping his business afloat in light of the new restrictions. Town is empty. 4 big retailers have shut down near me since lockdown, he added. There is no footfall. I am praying for help from the government, he added. The Alma Inn pub and music venue in Bolton announced on Facebook it would now close permanently, 2 days after it said a customer tested positive for COVID-19. As well as restricting hospitality venues, Mr Hancock said visitor limits will also be put in place in care homes in Bolton. The Health Secretary said, "I want us to learn the lesson from Spain, America and France, not to have to learn the lesson all over again ourselves through more hospitalisations and more deaths, and take this action locally in Bolton." The move comes after plans to ease restrictions in Bolton were scrapped last week, following a spike in COVID-19 cases. Mr Hancock also told MPs that a strict local lockdown in Leicester had resulted in a very significant drop in cases, with measures there to be reviewed on Thursday. It came as students at universities across Greater Manchester, including in Bolton, had been warned they face sanctions if they break rules to limit the spread of coronavirus. Meanwhile, Boris Johnson's official spokesman was asked whether the government was considering a change in guidance on household gatherings across England. The spokesman said that it was being kept under review and that ministers would not hesitate to act if needed. The guidance in England currently says 2 households can meet indoors. Outdoors, up to 6 people from different households can meet, or up to 30 people from 2 different households. 30 people from 2 different households, that's quite a lot of people. The UK government's chief medical advisor, Professor Chris Whitty, said COVID-19 rates are now rising, especially amongst people from the ages 17 and 29. He warned that if people stop social distancing, then COVID comes back. Relax too much. England's Deputy Chief Medical Officer, Professor John Van Tam, added, "People have relaxed too much. Now it is time for us to re-engage and to realise that this is a continuing threat to us." Although there has been a sharp rise in coronavirus cases reported in the last few days, the 30 deaths recorded on Tuesday are unrelated. It takes time from being infected to developing symptoms. Someone who is very sick in hospital with coronavirus and who sadly dies will have caught the infection weeks before. Earlier, Mr Hancock told MPs that a sharp rise in coronavirus cases in recent days had been across the whole country rather than in localised hotspots. Other parts of the UK are also facing tougher restrictions. In Wales, the county borough of Caerphilly is now under local lockdown, lasting until at least October, prompting a rush for tests. Stricter rules on visiting each other people's homes were also extended to 2 more areas in West Scotland from midnight. So yeah, that's it. I've got a few more videos about it. I hope you found this interesting and hope you have a great day and stay safe. Please do leave a like and subscribe if you liked the video and you want to hear more updates.